this is what I think we need to avoid as a community as well. I think anytime anybody has any criticism of gaming or esports, I don't think Twitter backlash is the right response. Yeah, I think it's really two things with his initial statement. You know, he talked about, well, number one, he said, I have a real problem with him, right? So he's self-identifying there. But one thing is he said, you play these games and you don't get anywhere. And I think that's a really loaded statement, because I think what our community would say is, even apart from the industry, even apart from being a startup or anything business, is we don't feel that we don't get anywhere when we're playing video games, right? I mean, we're experiencing things. A lot of the reason why people get into video games is because they can do things that they can't do in the real world. Yeah. It's very aspirational. It's, you know, that's one of the coolest thing about video games. You can be anyone, right? You can do anything. Right. And it can be an escape. And for some people, let's be honest, for some people, it's not a healthy escape. Right. And I think this is what I think we need to avoid as a community as well. I think anytime anybody has any criticism of gaming or esports, I don't think Twitter backlash is the right response. And I think this is a problem, a greater problem as a society that we have, is that we are losing the ability to peacefully disagree. We're losing the ability to debate ideas, right? We're just canceling people and we're saying, you don't have the right to say that. And when it's something that we're so passionate about and means so much to us, when somebody says what you care about, what you've devoted your life to, what you've done hundreds of hours in is meaningless, I mean, I understand that generates a strong reaction, right? But I think what would be better for our industry in the long run is when we get criticism like this, and this wasn't terrible criticism, there's much worse criticism out there, is that we listen, that we can be self-reflective to a point from the perspective that everything has some negative aspects of it, right? He's talking about jujitsu, you know, Joe Rogan's very involved in MMA, UFC, right? Right. There's clearly some very dangerous things about that activity. There's clearly some very beneficial things about it as well, right? So I think if we can accept some criticism, what that does, and then engage in a conversation, what that does is, rather than just canceling people, we're creating the opportunity to share knowledge that is beyond the perspective of the person giving the criticism.